Niners fans and Arizona Cardinals fans. What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, J the Bay. And it's, of course, a pleasure to always be in front of the best fans in the NFL. Y'all know who that is. The faithful, the Niner Empire. Always a pleasure to be on with you guys. And we're here on a Thursday night, 7:30. And welcome to any Cardinals fans who are currently in the chat. You guys have someone here who will be representing the Cardinals well. And of course, the 49ers and Cardinals meet this Sunday. I can't wait for the game. Shout out to everyone watching on J the Bay Facebook, J the Bay YouTube channel. I appreciate all your support. Let's say what's up to them people in them comments. And our guest, the Cardinal Rule, said, respect your elders, and he's referring to Tommy. I know you and Tommy love to go back and forth, so that's pretty good. Lennon Wolf, what's good? Appreciate you coming through to the stream, Lennon Wolf. Lennon Wolf is a AZ sports fan. He loves his sons. He loves his Cardinals. And I think you guys have a hockey team as well. Forgive me, but I don't follow hockey. But shout out to Lennon for tuning in to the stream. And we have to bring on our guest. He is a up-and-coming YouTuber. He's had a lot of success so far in his YouTube journey. But let's welcome, please, Joseph, the Cardinal Rule. What's good?
What's good, man? Thanks for having me, man. It's a joy to be here with you, man.
Absolutely, man. Hopefully your Thursday night is going well. But yeah, man, I wish I would have found out your YouTube channel much sooner, as we talked about before. And your channel has grown so fast. Like I haven't seen any other sports YouTuber, at least that I've interacted with, grow so fast. But first, let's talk about your AZ Cardinals fandom. How long have you been an Arizona Cardinals fan?
About as long as they've been an Arizona Cardinals football team. Okay. I'm originally from Arizona. I was born in Mesa, though I did spend 10 years of my childhood in Hayward, California, but moved back to Arizona about 1987. The Cardinals moved there, I think, in 88. And, I wasn't a huge sports fan, so I'm not going to say I was diehard. But, I was born in Arizona. I lived in Arizona. We have a football team now. This is my football team. And I kind of got into it more. And by the mid-90s, I was like a total nerd watching the draft and everything. So, yeah, man, as long as they've been Arizona Cardinals in one sense or other, I've been a Cardinals fan.
Nice. And, of course, we know each other well, both fan bases of 49ers and Cardinals. Of course, we can't forget, Larry Fitzgerald. He's arguably one of the great – I would say he's arguably the best Cardinals player in the franchise history. I kind of wanted to see him come back for one last hoorah, and it's crazy because he didn't come back, and now the team is 4-0. So it's like,
yeah,
that would have been nice if he could have come back. But definitely a Hall of Fame talent, one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play the game, and he has terrorized the NFC West and the 49ers for years. So hell of a career, no doubt. Hell of a career.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, a lot of Cardinals fans are really wanting to see him come back and, be part of what is now looking like a pretty successful, at least, start to the season. But at the same time, just getting into the X's and O's, I don't know that there's a spot in this offense where he fits at this point. But more than the player, the kind of ambassador he is, like, I don't know if there's been a higher character player, that I've seen. So we've been very fortunate, as Cardinals fans, to be able to root for someone like Larry Fitzgerald.
Absolutely. He has obviously great work ethic, very respected player across the league. Mm-hmm. And yeah, no doubt, and a hell of a talent. And he's definitely a player to look up to, especially if you're a young player, on how to be a professional, how to, after you score a touchdown. Hey, I like to see players celebrate, but it is cool to see players, hey, just hand the ball to the ref, go back to the sideline. Kind of like how LT, he did his dance a little bit, but players like that have high respect around the league. And, it's great to see him in a uniform. I know he won't play most likely this year. And as you mentioned, it's really not a position for him because the Cardinals, and we will get into this, have a plethora of talent on the offensive side of the ball. There's no doubt about that. But going back to YouTube,
Mhm.
why did you decide to make a YouTube channel?
It's a good question. So obviously I love the Cardinals, and I'm a total nerd about it. I love watching the draft. I love like roster building strategies and thinking about where you're gonna allocate your cap, and I wanted to actually originally get into doing some writing. I briefly for a minute wrote for the fan sided Arizona Cardinals page. Raising Zona for a bit, and that was interesting. But I didn't stick with that, and then I wanted to kind of maybe get into more in-depth analysis. And I actually did like part-time contract work last year for PFF. They hire like,
Ooh.
they hire like a ton of people to just like data collections. It was really low-level stuff, but I kind of did that for a season, and that was interesting. But I wanted to do something. I really wanted to write or do something where I kind of got to talk about the team more. And I learned a little bit about YouTube stuff from a family member I have who does a YouTube channel for a completely different thing, not sports related. And we even started a few YouTube channels that were short lived, and it just didn't stick. And I just like, and I didn't really know how to do video editing or anything. Like I hadn't done any of that. And I finally just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna teach myself how to do this stuff, and I'm going to launch a channel. I just need to do this. So, it was about a month before the draft. As I started my channel on April 2nd, and I knew, okay, the draft is a big time where people are, wanting content. So I knew strategically that would be a good time. So I launched my channel April 2nd. I started making videos. My earlier videos were bad because I was learning how to do it, but I committed that every video I wanted to make one thing a little better and teach myself one new thing, and taught myself the editing software. And it just timed really right that when the draft got here, I got to the point where I knew how to do videos that were decent, where I could bring in edit and film and do graphics and stuff. And it really took off for me. The draft, I did the video that really got things going for me was a video I did about Rondale Moore, and it took off. And we were talking about that a little before. That video got me like, I think at this point, like 400 or 500 subscribers have come from that video, and it's at 19,000 views. And it was the right video at the right time, the right topic. And so that got going, and man, it's been awesome. So I've kept pushing, myself to get better and learn how to do, new tricks and tips with the video editing, and I've kept at it. And I'll tell you what, part of also why I did it is I don't live in Arizona anymore. My career has brought me to the state of Georgia. I actually work as a professor at a university here, teaching sociology. And so, obviously then I take a totally nerd academic approach to some of the stats and stuff. But in one way, it was just a way to get to engage with like the fan base and be a part of, Cardinals fandom from afar. And I'll say, like, it's been everything I would have hoped for. It's been a joy to do this. It's been great to connect with Cardinals fans. I took my son to the Cardinals Jaguars game, met up with some Cardinals fans there. Yeah, man, I know I'm going on, but I did it in part because I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And it's really been great. It's been everything I hoped it would be.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Everyone has a unique journey with their YouTube. I started mine last year during the pandemic, and it was just a way to, hey, I have time to actually do something other than a normal day-to-day working, taking care of the kids, yada yada. But as you mentioned, you got better at each video. And usually your first few videos, as you know, they're not the best, but you kind of struck gold. And YouTube a lot is about timing. It's all about when you put out your video, your title, your tags, all that good stuff. But it's good to see another YouTuber, and we're also connected, of course, because we're in the same NFC West division. It's cool to see you strike gold and you grew so quickly in your YouTube journey. Because most people, they don't get monetized within like 5 months. That's incredible. So yeah, it's great to see you excel in your journey. And you could tell watching your videos, this is definitely your passion. You are a true Arizona Cardinals fan, and you bring a different perspective, which is great. Every YouTuber brings something different to their channel, and I enjoy watching your information. It's very, very, very insightful. Now,
thank you.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of the NFC West, we are
Mhm.
in, I believe, the toughest division in the NFL. Corey Davis with a $5 super chat. I appreciate that, KD. He says, Jay in the Bay, who do you want to win out of the Rams and Seahawks? And your guess, who do you want to win out of Rams and Seahawks? Who do you think, Joseph? Who do you want to win tonight?
I want the Seahawks to win because from the
Okay.
perspective of the team that's currently, 4-0 at the top of the division, anything that we can see happen that kind of muddies up the standings and creates a log jam, right? Or another way of saying it, I've said it this way. I'd rather have a couple of 3-2 teams trying to chase me as a Cardinals fan than having a 4-1 team right on our heels. So I want to see it. I'd like to see Seattle win to just kind of help muddy up those standings there.
Yeah, because there's a potential. I think if the Seahawks win, I think they would be 3-2. If the Niners win, we would be 3-2, and yeah, it would be a very, very close division. But hopefully the game goes in overtime and neither team wins. That'd be nice.
Get a tie, right? Well, it looks like the Rams are up. Yeah.
But I appreciate that super chat, KD. Hopefully you're having a great Thursday night and enjoy the game. I know it's on right now. I gotta say, what's good to Lennon Wolf, the AC sports fan. He says the Cardinals are the best fans, but go Cardinals, what's good? And Lennon is offering us his prediction of the game already. He's got the Cardinals winning 41-13. Wow.
Well, that's, I mean,
your perspective. But we will get into the prediction of the game later on in the show. But thanks for tuning in, Lennon. Tanya Sayal, what's good? Appreciate you joining the stream, Tanya. She is a 49ers fan. She says, what's up, Jay in the Bay? How you been? I've been pretty good. And I love talking with other fans about their team and talking about the matchup this weekend. I can't wait for the game. And let's get into that. I don't know if you're shocked, but I definitely am shocked. The Cardinals are undefeated. They're the last undefeated team in the NFL. Are you surprised by this, or did you think this would come to pass?
No, I'm a little surprised. I did a prediction, video where I actually predicted the games. I thought they'd win and lose, and I had them at 2-2 at this point. I thought they'd lose to Tennessee. Tennessee hasn't ended up being as good of a team as we all thought they would be. I thought they would beat Minnesota and Jacksonville, and I thought they would lose to the Rams. I'm not shocked. It's one of those things where it's like I saw how things could fall into place if the new pieces they brought in did what we hoped they would do, and if Kyler took that next step. But Cardinals fans, with the way things ended last season, had kind of a bad taste in our mouth. And as a Niners fan, you bore witness to it because your team beat us with a third string quarterback and helped keep us out of the playoffs. And that memory, is stuck with Cardinals fans. So we all a lot of us came into the season not as optimistic, as maybe we would like to be. So I'm not like totally shocked. Like, how could this happen? I see how it happened and I see what's happened, but it was one of those things where I needed to see it before I could believe it. So, I'm surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised, obviously.
Yeah, I'm definitely surprised. I thought the Cardinals would be a good team this year. I thought that you guys could definitely win double-digit games, but I definitely did not anticipate a undefeated start. But you guys are definitely led by your offense. It's playing lights out through the first 4 games of the year. If you look at total yards, points scored, passing yards, rushing yards, you guys have a balanced attack. And you guys will definitely give defenses fits all year as long as the man under center can stay healthy. And that's kind of where it went wrong last year. He was playing great, and then he ended up getting hurt. So for the Cardinals fans' sake, hopefully Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals team can stay healthy. Because if you guys can stay healthy, man, I mean, it's it's going to be a real dogfight in the NFC West. I said at the beginning of the year that I think all 4 teams could possibly win at least 10 games. But obviously there'll probably only be two, maybe 3 teams in the playoffs. I guess we'll see how the other divisions shape out. I gotta say, what's good to Fable JVC, lovely avatar man of the Bay Bridge. He says, what's up? Hey, we're doing all good on a Thursday night talking about the Niners and Cardinals. And Rams house, whose house? Rams house. What's good? How you doing, Rams house? He says go Rams. I know he's on pins and needles right now. Hoping to get the Rams beat the Seahawks. Looks like we have a super chat from Blue True. What's good? I appreciate that super chat, Blue True. Blue True says, "What's good, J The Cardinal Cardinal Rule? Sir Russell is out right now due to a finger injury." I actually saw that before we came on. Yeah, that was
me too.
Gnarly injury. Like his middle finger was moving in ways I don't want mine to move.
Right.
Yeah, that was terrible. So,
man.
You know,
I'll tell you what, I'm one of those fans that never wants to see anyone get injured on any team. It happens, but like I hope he's all right. I want my team to beat your team at full health, right? And so obviously, hopefully he could. It's not too serious and he'll be back, but at least next week. But we'll see.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. But yeah, I echo your sentiments. I don't wish injury on any other team, and you figure out what your team has, the makeup of the team when they play the best talent, So hopefully Russell, has a speedy recovery. Now we briefly talked about last year. I think last year the Cardinals started 2-2 through the first 4 games, and this year they started 4-0. So in your opinion, what do you think is the biggest difference from last year and this year?
So I think there's a couple key differences, and you pointed out earlier that the offense is really the key. The defense is playing well. I think our defense is good, but not elite at this point. It's played well, but I think the biggest keys, there's 2 of them. One is Kyler taking the next step. He's playing in some different ways. In fact, I'm going to do a video sometime the next day or 2 where I'm going to go over this more in depth. I've been doing some of the prep for it, but Kyler is doing some things different and better in a good way, right? But the big difference is I feel like is they have the right personnel in the right place and they're using them. Like when you brought in AJ Green and Christian Kirk was able to move into the slot where he's more of a natural fit. You brought in Rondale Moore to be the other slot receiver when they go, 4 wides. And that's just a much better fit. And Kyler is distributing the ball more evenly. Last year, the offense felt like it was hook routes to DeAndre Hopkins, receiver screens to Larry Fitzgerald, and Kyler Murray running it when things didn't work. It was very limited. And this year, if you look at the targets, they've spread it out a lot more. Like I did some number crunching, and like DeAndre Hopkins, like if you took their like top 6 or 7 pass catchers last year, had like 30% of the targets. And this year it's like 22, 24, 18. There's like double-digit percents of targets for like 6 guys. They're spreading it out a lot more, and Kyler's running only when he needs to. So what that means is, in the past, if you could take out DeAndre Hopkins from the game plan and kind of crowd Kyler, the offense would stall. Now, DeAndre Hopkins actually hasn't had a lot, the kinds of games you'd expect from him, but they're spreading that ball out and scoring 30 points a game. So they've just got the right people in the right place and they're using them. And that's the thing that I think is the biggest difference.
And we have Joseph from the Cardinal Rule YouTube channel repping the Arizona Cardinals. I have his social media info in the links. Make sure you guys check him out. He's got IG, he's got Twitter. Of course, check him out on YouTube. And not to mention the Cardinals they added more a rookie receiver, in this year's draft. And I think what's kind of most surprising is the running game. I think when Kyler's been there, they haven't been able to really rely on the running game the last few years. And I feel like this year with the rejuvenated James Conner from Pittsburgh, I don't know where this guy came from, because he was not the same player this year that he was with Pittsburgh. That's for sure. He looks rejuvenated in this offense. Edmonds has always been a pretty good running back, but now you have like a dual threat. And, I think they lead the league in rushing, I believe, through the first 4 games.
I'd have to look at that. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look at that.
If they don't lead it, they're at least top 5. But I think that helps balance out the offense. And as you mentioned, defenses can't really key on D-Hop because Kyler Murray's spreading the ball around. So it makes their offense even more dangerous. So, the Cardinals are doing excellent in that area. That's for sure.
So you got a super chat here, I see.
Yeah, looks like we have a super chat from Jag. What's good? Appreciate you coming through to the stream, Jag. Thanks for that super chat. He says, what's good, J the Bay? Question for at Cardinal Rule. Since the 49ers played home games at your stadium, will that help the 49ers?
I mean, if I don't think that will, and when you think about what is home field advantage, it's, I think it's a couple things. It's one, the fans, especially if it's fans who know when to get loud and get quiet, right? It's the fans being loud when the opposing team's trying to call their offense and things like that. So even though you played games, as kind of here, I know when things kind of went sideways a little bit during the pandemic, that advantage isn't here, right? And then I think the other advantage is, that you don't have to the travel, the jet lag and stuff, right? So although you don't have to travel as far to Arizona, so I think the things that create home field advantage don't come with you here, even though you played here some home games. So I would say probably not.
I would say, hell yeah, we have an advantage.
You can take any advantage you can get, right?
Exactly. The Niners, we struggled at Levi Stadium this year. We had to win a home game. We played at State Farm Stadium last year in December, our home game. So I would say we're very comfortable with that stadium. Now, will it matter on Sunday? Most likely not. But it's a place we're comfortable with. It's a team we're comfortable with. And I think that shouldn't hinder us in the game. That's for sure. I think it should definitely be a positive for us. That's for sure. I would think as a 49er fan, that's what I think.
I can understand that.
Yeah. I got to say, what's good to Bob Money? Thanks for tuning in to the stream. He says, watching the game and, oh my, why didn't we go for Matt Stafford? He looks good. Yeah, Matt Stafford definitely looks good with the LA Rams. I can see why they upgraded from Jared Goff. But same reason why we didn't – well, no, not the same reason why we didn't go for TB12. I think more with him is his age, and he was coming off of, a not-so-great year with the Patriots. But I think the 49ers we were comfortable with Jimmy G. I think that was part of the reason, and we didn't do enough to get Stafford. We didn't pull heaven and earth to try to get Stafford. So, but what are your thoughts on Stafford from what you've seen so far, Joseph?
Well, I mean, he's looked good up until week 4, when he faced us, right? No, but he's been in the MVP conversation and he's played like that. But I'll tell you, when he played us, I think our defense deserves some credit for keeping some pressure on him, but he also missed some wide open receivers. And, I was like I was watching a little bit of the Thursday night game and he was still missing some of those receivers, a couple wide open receivers. So I don't know what's going on with that, but overall he's looked good. I mean, Stafford's been a great quarterback with a bad organization who's in a good situation, and people are high on him for a reason. I think he also would have been a really great fit for the Niners offense if you had somehow managed to get him. So yeah, I think he's being good, and I think, and I know, hope your Niners fans don't take this as me throwing shade, but I think like the Seattle and Arizona and LA have just some really outstanding quarterbacks, some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. 49ers got to get their quarterback stuff sorted out. Hopefully, for your sake, Lance ends up being that guy. Jimmy can't stay healthy. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Yeah. But he's added to the arms race in this division with quarterbacks. And it's, I mean, he's just made this division that much better,
Absolutely. So you're telling me, wait, newsflash, you're telling me that you're not a believer in Jimmy G? What are you talking about?
Come on, Mike, are you? I mean, I know Niners fans are split on him at best, right?
Yes. Yeah. We've been debating over this topic ever since Trey Lance was drafted. Basically, ever since we traded up from 12 to 3 in the draft, there's been that conversation. I would say this, through the first 4 games that I've seen Jimmy G, I thought he would play better. There've been stretches where he looked solid, and there have been games or stretches or drives where I'm like, what is he doing? He shouldn't be making these mistakes. And at this point, I'm sure you've been keeping tabs, or I'm not sure if you have, but Jimmy, obviously he had the calf strain in the last game. He hasn't been practicing this week so far, Wednesday and Thursday. Trey Lance has been taking first team reps. So I'm hoping that Trey Lance starts Jimmy G, I respect him for wanting to play through an injury, but he doesn't play his best when he's hurt. We've seen that. So I'm hoping we have one more day of practice tomorrow. Jimmy said he's going to try to practice, but I'm hoping it's Trey Lance getting his first start against AZ. And, we'll see how that goes. But that's been the story with Jimmy. Just can't stay healthy.
Right, 100%.
And we have a Arizona Cardinals super fan in here tonight. I'm so glad he could come to the stream. We've got David Renteria. What's good? He says the Niners are overrated. Their whole team is hurt.
Shots fired, huh?
Yeah, I know, right? Well, make sure you check out, if you haven't already, make sure you check out the Cardinal Rule on social media. All his social media links are in the description of this video, especially on YouTube. As YouTubers, we love all the subscribers we can get. Make sure you support his channel. But David, he's not telling any lies. We've had significant injuries to the cornerback position, to the running back position, and hopefully we don't have any more injuries going forward. But hey, I think this is something that the 49ers need to address. We can't put all our eggs in one basket, especially with players who are injured or have shown, through the past years that they've been injured, they can't stay healthy. I think that's something that John Lynch is going to have to try to correct. And you got to take chances on players, but, at some point you have to look back on the past and not make those same mistakes.
Let me ask you a question about that, Jay. Because when you have like a team that consistently has that many injuries, everyone has some injuries, but is there something with the training staff that just isn't right? Do they have a poor training staff, or are they just investing in the injury, players with too much injury history? What do you think is behind that?
That's a great question, and that's something that 49er fans have been talking about. I believe when Shanahan was first here, we had a training staff, and I believe we fired that training staff and got a new training staff within the last 2 years. The body is interesting. Everyone reacts to training differently. George Kittle, he's a madman in the offseason. He's working out. He's putting all his videos up on IG and all this stuff. He gets nicked up, right? Then you have other players that maybe they don't work out as hard as George Kittle, and they could get nicked up too. I think part of it is, we signed Jason Verrett, and if you look at his history, he's missed more games than he's played. And we weren't really expecting him to be the top corner. He kind of developed into that. It was kind of like we struck gold with that. Raheem Mostert, our best running back, he never ran the ball as much as he did with the 49ers. Before he came to the Niners, he was just a special teams player. But if you look at other players, Jeff Wilson Jr., he got hurt. It was kind of a fluke injury. He literally stood up in the locker room, and I think he tore his meniscus. So I don't know. I don't know if it's overtraining, undertraining. Joe Staley, one of the best offensive linemen that wore a 49er uniform in the last 2 decades that I've seen, he said that since the new CBA agreement between the players and the owners, that the players, they just aren't in the facility as much as when Joe Staley was playing. And he just retired a few years ago. So that requires guys to work out on their own, not be under the tutelage of the training staff as much. So maybe that's hindering them. But if you listen to the older players who have retired, they say, hey, we didn't get hurt that much. So what's changed? And that's one thing that's changed is less time at the facility. And this could be a bad thing and not a good thing, which I can understand why players want to be away from the facility. It's a long, strenuous season, and as you mentioned, every team has injuries. It's a physical sport, but the only thing we can really control is the players you bring into the building. And, we have to bring players in the building that just don't have as many, that don't have an extensive injury history. I think that's the only thing we can really do. Because I don't know about training staff. I have no idea. Is it better to work out 5 days a week, 3 days a week? I have no idea, but.
Well, the things you're talking about are things all teams have to deal with, the difference in the CBA. So I'm just wondering if the 49ers have a uniquely high rate of injuries. Is there something they're doing different and not in a good way, right? And I don't know. Obviously, you follow the team more closely, so I just wondered if there's something going on. But obviously, for the sake of your team and your fan base, hope that doesn't continue.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's just something that, the 49ers will have to look at the training staff or
Mhm.
the training regimen.
Mhm.
I think that and being very selective with the players you bring in the building. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's the only two things you can really control. And, and go from there. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, hopefully we start a trend of being healthier as the season progresses. That's all we can really hope for at this point. And speaking of the team, obviously the Cardinals, they've got off to a great start. They're 4-0. What area of the team, the Cardinals team, do you think needs most improvement?
Well, I'll tell you what, the area that they struggle in the most is actually an area that your 49ers excel in. Run defense is our biggest weakness right now. For the last 3 weeks, now that week one, we shut down Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry's been on a tear since, but he's a big physical back. Our linebackers, defensive linemen ran at him, hit him hard, and kept him to very little yardage. But those shiftier, quicker backs like Dalvin Cook that we face, and Robinson and Henderson this last week have kind of gashed our run defense. And obviously, Kyle Shanahan, the thing he does, in my opinion, better than anything else is scheme up the run. I mean, you see it. He brings in guys who are undrafted free agents, and throws them in there, and they're effective. So that's the thing that we need to see the Cardinals improve on is that run defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I was, looking at the stats, and you guys rank, I think, bottom 5 in run defense, and that's obviously that's something that Kyle Shanahan wants to do. We want to run the ball. Granted, we're down Raheem Mostert at running back. We're down Jeff Wilson Jr. Our best running back right now is a 7th round rookie we drafted this year.
Yeah.
And I think Trey Sermon, he looked pretty good last week. That was his best game of the year. And hopefully he can continue that this week against Arizona, because that's definitely something we want to do. We want to run the ball. We want to win the time of possession. Love to see Trey Lance throw off play action. And I think we have an advantage up front along our offensive line versus your defensive line. I know Chandler Jones was hoping to get a contract extension off that first game where he got 5 sacks, but he's yet to sack the quarterback. So hopefully we can keep that trend going this Sunday, and we can protect Trey Lance or Jimmy G or whoever's back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know you saw I did a video a while back kind of looking at the different offensive linemen in the division and kind of, looked at the numbers and the conclusion I came to is the 49ers have the best offensive line in the division, at least going into the season. So that's a strong point for you. Our defensive line has struggled, some. Chandler Jones has been getting pressure. Chandler Jones had that 5-sack game, obviously, like you talked about. I do think, though, like he's been getting pressure. I just think teams have looked at the Cardinals defense and looked at that week 1 performance against Tennessee and said, okay. And then they looked at the Vikings game. And the Vikings obviously came really close to winning. And, if you told me the Vikings deserved to win, I wouldn't argue with you. They missed that field goal. But, I think teams are looking at the Cardinals defense and saying, if you want to beat this defense, what you have to do is negate the pass rush. So I think part of why Chandler Jones has kind of been a little bit MIA is I think teams are scheming their offenses in a way with quick passes and screens and runs and things that kind of negate that pass rush. So I think part of that is a little bit he was so successful in week 1 that teams have kind of said, we got to take him out of the game. If we can take him out of the game, we have a chance like the Vikings did.
Yeah, and we have a disruptor on our team as well. You may have heard of him, Nick Bosa.
Heard of that guy?
Yeah, and he's similar to Chandler Jones. They both love to get after the quarterback. They're both premier edge rushers in the NFL. And Aaron Rodgers did the same thing. His motto was get rid of the ball quick. I think he had a stat against us. He got rid of the ball in under 2.5 seconds. And when he did that, he was like 16 of 16 passing. So that seems to be a way to negate the 49ers pass rush, because I feel like that's our biggest, I would say, outside of, Fred Warner being the best linebacker in the NFL, I think that's our, that's where we hang our hat at, is our defensive line, getting after the quarterback, making him feel uncomfortable in the pocket. And I think that's where we thrive on. So it'd be interesting to see, well, will Kyler Murray hold on to the ball? Will the pass rush be able to get him and make him feel uncomfortable? That'll definitely be, a key to the game. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I gotta say, what's good to Redder4. He says, hey, thanks for tuning in to the stream. That's a great avatar you got there of Watt. He's also another premier edge rusher. Lennon Wolf says, what do you think? What happened to your team? Well, we're 2-2. I definitely didn't think we would be 2-2 at the start of the year. I thought we would be at worst 3-1, but I think we've just had, I would say the last two games specifically, penalties, turnovers, they've been terrible for us. We can't give the better teams in the NFL more opportunities to score.
Right.
That's something, successful teams don't do. And we definitely have to get better in that area. We just can't beat ourselves. I think that's been the main point. Also, of course, it's Jimmy. It's been inaccurate play at the quarterback position. That hasn't been well, so we need that to improve against the Arizona Cardinals. That's for sure. But I appreciate that question, Lennon. Let's see. We have Bryce here. What's good? He's a Packers fan, so I know he was really happy last week. Thanks for tuning in to the stream. Marty Williams, what's good? Thanks for tuning in to the stream. Hopefully you're having a great Thursday night. He says J the Bay was good. It's all good talking about the Niners and the upcoming game. Now, in regards to the Cardinals, through 4 games, in your opinion, which offensive player has been the most impactful?
So I'm going to set aside the obvious answer because the quarterback, affects the game more than anyone else. So I'm going to give you an answer other than Kyler, with the understanding that obviously it's Kyler. But for me, it's a toss-up between Rodney Hudson and AJ Green. The argument for AJ Green is, remember I talked about before how they've got the right people in the right place, and him out there, and he's been good, has allowed Kirk to move inside. But I'm going to go with Rodney Hudson because he was a huge upgrade over Mason Cole, who was our starting center last year. And that center, like when you have a center like him, and you've got Alex Mack, right? A great center. When you've got a center like that, what he does for the protections and kind of just stabilizing that offensive line. Kyler's had, he's had a pretty good, he's had time to throw the ball, right? I mean, he's throwing the ball deeper than he was last year's average. His average yards per attempt is higher than it was last year. So I think Rodney Hudson is kind of down low, kind of quietly. You don't think about offensive line as much, but I think he's been a huge impact on this offense.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, having a great center kind of, as you mentioned, stabilizes the offensive line. And I was thinking, Raiders, what are you doing? Why are you trading Rodney Hudson to the NFC West? What are you doing? And they traded their guard, Gabe Jackson, to Seattle. So it's like, come on, Raiders, what are you doing? But it's funny the Raiders made those moves. Obviously they were high-priced offensive linemen, and that I think they figured, well, we're not winning with you, so let's bring in some cheaper guys to replace you. And it worked out, for Arizona and Seattle, of course. But Rodney Hudson, he's definitely an elite center. As you mentioned, he makes protections and he stabilizes the offensive line. And you guys are definitely lucky to have him. And that will be an interesting matchup. Your interior offensive line against the Niners defensive line. Javon Kinlaw, he's had some pretty good plays throughout the first 4 games this year. And I'm looking forward to that matchup with Kinlaw. DJ Jones, sometimes Armstead will line up inside. But we go about 8 or 9 players deep along that defensive line. So that will be an interesting matchup. Now this question wasn't on the list, but it just came to my mind. What do you think about your tackles, your left tackle, your right tackle? What are your thoughts on them and the matchup with going against Bosa and D Ford?
So as far as the matchup, I think our tackles are a little bit underrated. DJ Humphries was the 4th graded tackle in the NFL last year. He graded exceptionally well. Now it was a breakout season for him. He's been good, but that was a breakout. Now his grades are down a little bit this year, but he's still been pretty good. On the right side, we're starting second year tackle Josh Jones, who was a third rounder for us, who a lot of people thought was a steal in the third round. Some people thought he was a late first round, early second round. And he's played pretty well in that, in that spot. So I think our tackles are underrated and they're doing a good job. But I'll tell you, Kyler kind of, I'm not going to say he makes that irrelevant, but Kyler kind of adds this extra layer that, you don't see Kyler get sacked by the guy beating his man and then just plowing into him like a pocket passer. Right. When Kyler gets sacked, you flush him out of the pocket and you chase him down, or he slides behind the line of scrimmage. Very rarely do you see the tackle get beat and then, Kyler get, hit from behind. It just, so even if the tackles struggle against your pass rushers, you're going to have to find a way to contain Kyler and take away his running lanes to get those sacks based on the way it typically works out. But yeah, in general, I think our tackles, are pretty good. Obviously, you have arguably the best tackle in the league, in Trent there, and your right tackle is pretty good too. So, but yeah, I think our tackles are probably a little bit underrated and at least I think a little bit above average.
Yeah, I mean, you make great points. I've seen it, unfortunately, many times. Even when the pass rush gets to Kyler, the first guy usually misses, and Kyler runs out. And I saw a stat earlier on that Kyler was number 1 ranked when pressured or when blitzed. So that's very telling, very interesting. I think it'll be interesting to see how DeMeco Ryans, our defensive coordinator, how is he going to contain Kyler? Will there be a spy on Kyler? Or will it be, if it's strictly man, Kyler can definitely beat man, especially when running lanes open up. So I think he'll have to switch it up. Sometimes zone, sometimes man, sometimes spy, multiple players. But when Kyler gets out of the pocket, he's running to his right or his left. It's like, just hit him. That's what I'm yelling at the TV. And usually he runs out of bounds, or just like that play against the Rams last week where he jukes
the 3rd and 16.
Yeah, he jukes the safety and he gains those yards and he puts the ball out. Like, I'm like, oh man. Like,
well, they had a spy on him too. It was like that linebacker. You mentioned, put a spy on him and hope your spy's fast enough to catch him. Yeah. He's very, very tough to defend. That's for sure. And speaking of defense, I don't think the Cardinals defense has to be great in order for the Cardinals to go far in the playoffs, but I think they definitely have to be pretty good. I think you guys will get better at run defense. I think it's still early. I think it just takes some time for players to gel. But you guys are doing pretty good in the turnover department. You guys are getting turnovers, so that definitely helps. But through 4 games, which defensive player do you think has been, the most impactful player on the team? So I think it's Byron Murphy Jr., the second year or the third year cornerback. Coming into this season, and I know this is an issue that the Niners are dealing with too, the cornerback room was a big question mark. Patrick Peterson left, though he hadn't played, particularly well the last couple of years. We signed Malcolm Butler and then he retired. And, there was a lot of concern. So, Byron Murphy Jr., Robert Alford, who missed the last 2 seasons with injuries, was the other cornerback, and then rookie Marco Wilson, right? So there were a lot of question marks there, but this cornerback group has been good. Now, they haven't been elite, but they haven't been totally picked on and exposed. And Byron Murphy Jr., I think he's got 3 interceptions, had a pick 6 against Trevor Lawrence. He's been really, really good. And I think his taking that step forward and becoming, I think, a legitimate number 1 cornerback in the NFL is a big part of the reason a big reason for why this cornerback room has been better than we thought it would be. Now, Robert Alford's also played well. And been healthy, fortunately. So, I think the development of Byron Murphy Jr. has been key, because otherwise, this cornerback group might start getting exposed.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting matchup. We have our young receivers, Debo Samuel. I believe he
Tearing it
leads
up.
the league. Yeah, he leads the league in receiving yards.
Mhm.
Brandon Ayuk, he's kind of been so-so. He's been battling a hamstring issue, and
I've got Ayuk on my fantasy team, so I got a bone to pick with that guy, right? Yeah, he's struggled, but Samuel's been awesome. Yeah.
yeah, and there's been a weird dynamic between him and Shanahan. There might be
Mhm.
some turbulence there between them. But yeah, that'll be an interesting matchup. And of course, you bring Kittle out there. He's just a matchup nightmare.
Yeah.
I love when he goes up against Buda Baker.
Tell you what, yeah, Buda Baker's a beast, man. But
He is a beast. There's no
yeah,
doubt. He is a beast. But I
but
think Kittle makes a lot of defenders miss. He makes a lot of defenders kind of look silly at times, or just not play their best. But there's no doubt, Buda Baker, he's one of the best safeties in the NFL. There's no doubt about that. But I love, honestly, anytime Kittle lines up, I love our matchup. No matter who's out there covering him, we just got to be able to get him the ball. I feel.
well, Isaiah Simmons has been playing pretty well this year, in his second year. And I'll tell you what, Isaiah Simmons, in my opinion, in terms of his skill set, being as big as he is, but as fast as he is, he plays like a safety or even a corner in terms of his speed and everything. But he's, they play him as a kind of a linebacker. I think he's in the NFL. I don't know if there's a player who is better equipped in terms of skill set to cover someone like Kittle and the other big tight ends. Now he's young, so not just the veteran might kind of have some tricks up his sleeve to get him, but I like that matchup in terms of what Simmons brings, but Kittle's great, right? So he's a tough matchup, no doubt.
Yeah, and that will be an intriguing matchup if Simmons gets matched up on Kittle. I know you guys have another rookie linebacker, and Buda Baker matches up with Kittle. Those will be interesting matchups. I gotta say, what's good to Niner Sickness? Thanks for tuning into the stream. He is a 49er YouTuber, and he has a great channel, and I appreciate you hopping on to my stream. Hopefully,
I think I'm subscribed to him. I think
nice.
There's a handful of Niners content creators I've met through your channel and a few others. So
nice. Yeah, you guys got to do a collab, in the future. He's wealth of knowledge. He's like, I call him an OG Niner fan since the 70s. So he's seen it all.
Nice.
But we were talking about defense, and actually, no, I think we were. Let's go to offense.
Okay.
We were talking about, obviously the Cardinals have a great offense. Now, which offensive rookie do you think has impressed you the most through the first 4 games?
I mean, I think it's got to be Rondale Moore. I mean, I think he's the only one who's really doing anything offensively. So and obviously he has been really good. Now he's seen fewer targets the last couple games. Had that really huge game, against Minnesota. But man, he has fit that role. He's been effective. He's I mean, I've done like 3 videos on him. So I'm a huge fan, and he's been exactly what this offense needed in that slot position.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have a lot of talent at the wide receiver position. Do you guys still have Andy Isabella?
Yeah, he hasn't seen the field, but he's there.
Still there. But yeah, you guys go, 4 or 5, sometimes 6 wide receivers deep. And that brings me to a name you probably remember, Trent Sherfield. And, he was like a special teams guy, with the Cardinals, and he couldn't really get onto the snaps at the wide receiver position because you guys are so deep there. And he had an excellent training camp with the 49ers this year, and I thought he would see more of the field. But the last 2 games, he kind of hasn't really seen much of the field. But hopefully we do some more 3-4 wide receiver sets. We air it out more. And hopefully Trent Sherfield will make a nice return to the State Farm Arena. I'll be looking forward to that.
I got to tell you, I follow and tune into some of the content creators like yourself and some of the other Niners content creators. And I heard the excitement about Trent Sherfield. And I just kind of was like, Cardinals fans have seen this before because he's popped in the preseason for us.
Yeah.
And, you talk about our depth at wide receiver, but a couple of years ago, we didn't have that depth. Yeah. And he actually did see the field some, not with Kyler. Well, he did a little bit with Kyler, but not with offenses like this.
Mhm.
And he just couldn't stick in the rotation. I mean, he played a little bit. So when he started popping in the preseason for y'all, I was like, all right, we'll see. Because
Yeah.
we know this story in Arizona, and so far it's looked like a repeat of what we saw. Now maybe he does, get a bigger role in the offense, but yeah, he's just never seemed. He seems to pop in the preseason, but can't
Mhm.
seem to kind of just put it together to have consistency in the regular season. But he's a great. I mean, he's an ace on special teams. I mean,
Yeah.
is an ace of a gunner. So he's definitely a good player to have on your roster.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to think. I don't think I've seen him too much on our special teams.
Hmm.
He played more snaps the first two games compared to the
Okay.
last two. I think that's because Ayuk, he was coming back from that hamstring injury, and the more snaps Ayuk plays, it seems like that lessens the amount of playing time for Sherfield.
Hmm.
But hopefully Sherfield will get out there. And but right now we have Debo, Mohamed Sanu, and Ayuk. So those basically are our three best wide receivers. Or I should say the three wide receivers who get the most snaps.
Hmm.
So we'll see how they match up with Arizona. I gotta say, what's good to John? Thanks for tuning in to the stream. He says, hopefully Trey Lance starts and shows promise. Win or lose this game, he needs more on-field experience, and hopefully he rises to the occasion. I would agree with that. Trey Lance has taken all the first team snaps this week. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But I want to see Trey Lance out there. I'd rather see a healthy Trey Lance than an injured Jimmy G. What are your thoughts on the the quarterback situation, Joseph?
So coming into the season, looking at what was going on for the 49ers, I thought the right path was start Jimmy G for somewhere between 5 or 6 games, figuring he'll probably get injured at some point, but start him and let Trey Lance kind of sit for part of the season, and then look for a natural place, whether it be off a bad loss, an injury, or even bye week or something, and
Yeah.
then insert Trey Lance and kind of let him go in. So that's what I thought, like from my perspective, would be the smart approach. So there's the injury. Maybe it's a little earlier than I would have liked to have seen it if it were me, as the GM or whatever. But like at this point, it's probably the right time to get Lance in there, see what he can do. At this point, you're obviously it's early, so anything can happen. You're certainly not out of contention, but you're also at this point looking like, there's a couple teams that look really strong in this division, the Rams and the Cardinals, and you can never count out the Seahawks as long as Wilson's back there. So maybe now's the time to take a little bit of a shot, right, and see what you've got with him. So I think at this point, if it were me, I'd probably want to see him in there, see what he can do against. The Cardinals defense is good, but it's not elite. So maybe that he might have a chance to do a little something good in there, even if you don't win the game. So yeah, I'd say get him in there if it were me.
Yeah, and part of the reason I want to see Trey Lance is because Jimmy G hasn't played as good as he did in 2019. And at the beginning of the year, I was thinking, hey, Trey will sit the whole year, and hoping that Jimmy G will play his best because I think he's playing for his NFL starting quarterback career. Unfortunately, he's already hurt. So I don't know which team will trade for him in the offseason. I don't know which team would actually give him a legit chance to win the starting job. Those days may be numbered because unfortunately you just can't rely on him to stay healthy. So hopefully Trey Lance gets this start, and hopefully he presents a different element to the Arizona Cardinals defense, something they're not expecting. They don't really know what to expect, so that could be obviously a benefit for the 49ers. And I'm looking forward to who is named the starter on Sunday, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
Jags, in regards to David Renteria, says the Cardinals haven't won anything yet. We will see in December and January. That's a lot of talk from fans who haven't enjoyed the thrill of winning 5 Lombardies.
Living in the past, huh? Living in the past? No. Listen, but listen, any given Sunday, anything can happen. There's a lot of football left. That's a given, right? At the same time, like we can't sit back here and say don't talk, because this is part of being a fan, right? My team's doing well. I need to be able to be excited about it. Now, I try not to be overly boastful. I try to be measured. But, yes, there's plenty of football left to be played. Yes, a lot of things can happen. But as fans, I don't think you can tell someone, don't be excited about your team. You haven't done anything yet. Like, you know what? We won 4 games. We're going to be excited.
Yeah.
And, enjoy being a fan the way you like being a fan. We haven't won the division yet. We haven't won anything in terms of playoffs yet. Of course, anything can happen, but it's exciting right now as a Cardinals fan, and I'm going to enjoy the ride. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And if we were 4-0, we would be as excited as Cardinals fans. There's no doubt about that. I expect nothing less from the last undefeated team in the NFL, So
yeah.
I don't blame the Cardinals for being excited. And, it is still early, and let's just see how the season plays out.
Yeah.
Blue Truth says good vibes. That's what I try to bring here on the J The Bay YouTube channel. Also, make sure you subscribe to Joseph at the Cardinal Rule. All his social media links are in the description, so make sure you guys check him out. Philly the podcast. What's good?
Yeah, he was. There's a
stream.
I think I subscribed to Philly there. There's another Arizona Cardinals content creator that I do a weekly collab with, the AZ Sports Fan, and I know Philly was on his show once, so I think I subscribed to him when he went on there. So good to see you in here, man.
Nice. And speaking of the AZ Sports Fan, you two have, when I saw the title of your video, I was like, that's really smart. So tell the people who don't know the weekly show you do with the AZ Sports Fan. The AZ Sports Fan is the Arizona Cardinals fan, and he talks about all the Arizona sports. Mm-hmm. So tell them about your show.
Yeah. So on Monday nights we have a kind of a standing collab, and we originally called it The Fan and the Professor. Now we call it Cardinals Aftermath featuring the Fan and the Professor. Nice. He's the AZ Sports Fan. I sometimes go by the moniker the Professor because I am a professor, by day job, but it also fits my approach, right? You've seen my videos, Jay. I kind of get into the analytics and stuff. So it's a perfect fit for the way I do my content. And the show we do every Monday night's a lot of fun. It's on my channel for anyone who wants to check it out. And, and he brings kind of that excitable fan kind of approach. And I kind of take a little more measured and it works out really well. I think the dynamic plays really well.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, you guys have 2 different ways of going about presenting your content. And also he has a great platform already, so that helps you and your channel out. So I think that's great to see you two collabing together. And that's great to see your channel will continue to grow, especially being on his platform, because I think he's got 7,000 subscribers.
Yeah, something like that. So it's interesting though. Like, there's a lot of overlap of our subscriber base. In fact, the reason we did that is that someone who was subscribed to both of us messaged me. It's like, hey, you should reach out to him and do something. We're like, sure. No, it's really good. Like, you've seen it, and I've even seen it. There's a great community of 49ers content creators, and and I've got to know a few of you, and that's one of the great things about this, getting to know people and be part of a community. And sure, we're division rivals, but we can have a good time and kind of get together and hang out and talk football together, and it's a blast.
Absolutely. And that's one thing. It's kind of an underrated thing about being a YouTuber is I never would have thought I would have made so many connections, and I'm talking to different people from the Cardinals fan base, Seahawks, Rams. So it's a pretty cool, YouTube community, and it's definitely something I was not expecting. But it's a pleasant surprise, and I enjoy doing these collaborations. That's for sure. Redder, a Steelers fan, says, "Hey Joseph, what are your thoughts on James Conner?"
I'll tell you what, I think he is another one of those pieces that is fitting perfectly in our offense. And obviously, as a Steelers fan, you know what he brings. He's a big back, good goal line back. Obviously, staying healthy was the issue, and he's a better receiver than a lot of people realize. But what he does, and I talked about this, on a stream I was on before. But like, if you look at like the goal line offense for the Cardinals, like when the Cardinals are like 3rd and goal or 1st and goal, like James Conner can plow through and get a touchdown. So if you're a defense, you need to get guys in the box to try to stop them. But if you do that, Kyler Murray is going to run that thing to the outside and make you look silly, right? So like I've said this last night on on the stream, but I think the Cardinals, when it's all said and done this year, are going to have one of the best red zone offenses in the NFL, because when they get in close like that, you know, Connor is that big back, power back who can score. And now you got Rodney Hudson in the center there helping him to do that. And, you know, if you commit to stopping him, then Kyler's going to make you look silly, right? So he has been a great addition, a great compliment to what, you know, Chase Edmonds brings. So, yeah, I think he's been a really underrated pickup for us. Good to see. I see Peo Time in here. I did a collab with him. He's a really good dude. He's a Rams YouTuber. Good to see you, Peo Time. And I see Niner Sickness saying to love to do a collab anytime, buddy. You just message if you're on. I don't know if you're on Twitter, Niner Sickness, but if you are, connect with me on Twitter and send me a DM. If you aren't, maybe message me on my or you know, put a comment on my channel. But would love to. I, like you, Jay. I just enjoy. It's been a blast. The collabs are the fun part for us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They, in fact, like, for a little behind the scenes, like, collabs don't actually get me as many subscribers as doing a video that I publish. Those get me more subscribers, but the collabs are the fun part. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So happy to collab with, you know, with good people. So
absolutely. And Niner Sickness, all his social media links are in the description of this video, so you can check him out on Twitter, IG, and of course subscribe to his YouTube channel. What's good to Peo Time? I know you're happy about this win. Congratulations. Yeah, that was a weird win for your LA Rams, but hey, a win is a win. That's for sure. And 49ers first takes, what's good? Appreciate that $5 super chat. He is another 49er YouTuber. I'm not sure if you've heard of him, Joseph, but
I don't think I have.
Yeah, he talks about the 49ers and excellent content creator. And I would say, I would like to think of myself as an optimistic 49ers fan, and there are people who are not as optimistic, but that's great because you get a good balance, you know?
Yeah.
Some people are, hey, we're 2-2, we should be 4-0, and I'm like, hey, we just haven't played our best ball yet, you know? But it's good because every content creator has, you know, what they bring to the table, and it's great, and I'm subscribed to 49ers First Takes. I enjoy his channel. Sometimes he kind of brings it down for me, like, okay, we do need to improve in certain areas. It's always good to have a different perspective. So keep doing what you're doing, 49ers First Takes, man. I appreciate you for coming through to the channel, man. I appreciate it. I was going to ask you about the defensive rookie through the first 4 games. Who do you think is the best? You have an idea about that?
Yeah, I mean, okay. In terms of like how he's played when he's been on the field, Zaven Collins has played the best, but he hasn't been on the field a lot. I think the guy I'm going to give the nod here is Marco Wilson, 4th round cornerback. And, you know, he hasn't graded as well as Zaven Collins, but more has been asked of him. He's played more snaps. And you know, and that cornerback position, you know, you're sometimes on that island and you can be exposed. And, you know, when you're a linebacker, you miss a tackle, someone else might get it for you. When you're a cornerback, you miss your assignment. It might be you might get burnt. So I'm going to give it to Marco Wilson. He's really, you know, he's struggled a little bit, but he's a rookie. But overall, he's been part of that cornerback room that's played better than people thought it would.
Is he? You might have mentioned this before, but is he starting opposite of Murphy?
Oh, sorry, got a thunderstorm here. I just had a lightning. I'm like, what the? Sorry, I just had like thunder. It was really close. So if I look scared, that's why. Okay. So here's what they're doing with cornerbacks. Okay, when they are in their 3-4 set, right, with 2 cornerbacks, right, they have Byron Murphy Jr. and Robert Alford as the outside cornerbacks.
Okay.
When they go into the nickel set and they bring in that 3rd cornerback, they move Byron Murphy Jr. into the slot, and they put Wilson and Alford on the outside. Okay. That's what they're doing.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Niner Gang Podcast. What's good? Thanks for tuning in to the stream. Another great 49er YouTuber who, like 49ers First Take, he tells it like it is. And I definitely appreciate that, man. Thanks for tuning in to the stream. David Renteria with this slander. What are you talking about, David?
You're talking to an optimistic Niners fan here, man. He's not buying that.
49ers ain't making the playoffs. We shall see, David. The season is still young. David also said Seahawks are now 2-3. Yeah, and then with the Russell Wilson injury, We'll see how long he will be out. So the
Yeah.
Seahawks are reeling. So we shall see what happens with them. Going back to okay, so I haven't asked you about what do you think about really the best 49ers offensive and defensive player from a Cardinals fan perspective. So
Yeah. So
on game day, who are you most in fear of on the 49ers offense and the 49ers defense?
so on offense, I'm going to tell you, it's not a specific player. It's whoever is starting at running back.
Okay.
Because what we talked about with our run defense, and Shanahan does such a great job with that scheming that it's like I know you all are concerned about who is Eli Mitchell going to be healthy or Trey Sermon and who's starting, and from an outsider perspective, I'm like, it doesn't matter. Whoever Shanahan throws in there is going to be effective, right? It could be the guy he brings off the practice squad and he's going to be effective. It's like, to me, that's kind of the thing I'm most worried about is how badly is Shanahan going to expose our run defense and take advantage of that, because that to me, like the path for obviously the Cardinals are favored and they should be. I think we both agree just based on the record how they played, but like you're looking at what's it going to take for the Niners to win. I think they need to run well, force turnovers, get Kyler Murray to get some interceptions, but that running game I think will be a key part of it. So that's to me, whoever is starting at running back, that's who I'm scared of on offense.
Yeah. You're not afraid of the arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL right now.
I mean, listen, he's good, man. He's good. But I'm more worried. Like our cornerbacks have held their own against Julio Jones, AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, right? And so not to say we can't get beat. I mean, our cornerbacks aren't perfect, but we've gone up against good receivers, and that hasn't been something where we've gotten, that hasn't been the thing that's hurt us the most. It's been that running game. So, listen, could Deebo Samuel have 212 yards and 3 touchdowns? Of course, anything can happen in the NFL, man, right? But going in, the thing that I'm most concerned about is that running game.
I dig it. And also, I understand that because that is one of the weaknesses of the Arizona Cardinals defense is that run game. And we love to run the ball. So that will be interesting. Yeah, if we can establish the run, win the time of possession, and keep Kyler Murray off the field, I think that's going to be our best bet in order to stay in this game. Yeah. Renee Luna, what's good? Appreciate you coming through to the stream, Renee. Hopefully your Thursday night is going well. Go Niners. And Sean, what's good? Thanks for tuning in to the stream. He says, hey, Jay, what's good? The Niners did to stop that passing attack. Yeah, we do need to stop that passing attack of the Cards. They have obviously great receivers, excellent quarterback play right now, and they will be a tough matchup for the 49ers secondary, that's for sure. Luke Luna, what's good? Thanks for tuning in to the stream, Double L. He says, bang, bang, Niner gang. Any other putting gang in the name should just stop because we the Empire. Anyways, how are you tonight? Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. I'm looking forward to this NFC West division matchup. Hopefully we can get the Cardinals their first L of the year. I think that would be great, especially going into the bye week. Now, speaking of who's going to win the game, all right. So, Joseph, the Cardinal Rule. Who wins the game and why?
All right. So, again, let me preface this with any given Sunday, anything can happen. I'm not trying to be cocky, but when you look at the way the Cardinals have played on offense and you look at the way the Niners have been struggling a bit and the questions at quarterback for the Niners, I think the Cardinals win. And I think it's a good win for the Cardinals. I think it's 30. I've been saying 34-17. I know Niners fans are going to be not love that. And they're going to be like, dude, what? Yeah. And like I said, though, I mean, if the Niners win, congratulations, it happens, right? But I think this Cardinals offense is just really good. It's just for all the reasons we talked about, and I don't think your cornerbacks, your cornerbacks are kind of banged up, and it's a question mark. So I don't see the Niners stopping this offense, and with a rookie quarterback potentially in. I think he'll get a couple touchdowns and make some plays, but I think Vance Joseph is going to scheme up some pressure to kind of disrupt, Trey Lance. And if it's Jimmy G, he's just not an explosive quarterback, right? He's, so he's more of a game manager. So that's my prediction. We'll see what happens. So
I respect your prediction. Looking forward to the game. Mm-hmm. And I think the Niners do have some advantages up front. I think our offensive line will be able to create some holes in the running game. I think we'll be able to protect whoever's back there at quarterback. And I think, we'll get a heavy dose of, Trey Sermon. I think he had a solid game last week. Hopefully that continues this week against, the Arizona Cardinals, which have struggled to stop the run. And the 49ers, I couldn't believe this. We are the best team in the red zone. We are 13 of 13 in the red zone. It's kind of hard to believe. You got to look it up.
Yeah. I wonder, are you guys, how many times are you getting to the end zone as much as other teams? I'm wondering. That's a 13 of 13 is great.
Yeah.
But I wonder how many, if you're getting there as much as other teams are.
That's a good question. I would have to look at the attempts. Like another team could get there 18 times, but only score on 12 times or something. Yeah. But I think that's something we have to continue to do, convert in the red zone when we have opportunities there. I think the last two games, we beat ourselves. Penalties, turnovers, that definitely didn't help us. We lost both of those battles, turnovers and penalties, and those were two of the games we lost. So I think if we don't beat ourselves, we will definitely keep ourselves in the game. But we know it's going to come down to the 49ers defense against this Cardinals offense. We know the Cardinals, they're riding high. They're one of the best offenses right now through the first 4 games of the year. There's no doubt. I really loved how this 49ers defense played last week against Seattle. The 49ers, we just couldn't help them on offense. That we had several 3-and-outs against Seattle and their offense, and the Niners couldn't really do anything on the opposite side of the ball. But I think we can do that again this year. I think so, or this Sunday. I think we can have some 3-and-outs against Kyler and the Cardinals offense. Kyler is prone to throw some INTs. He's done that this year. Maybe we can get him to throw some INTs, but I think this will be a close game. As I continue to ramble, but I think the Niners will win this game in Arizona. Arizona will get their first loss of the year, and I have to mention the Arizona Cardinals had a great win against the LA Rams last week. That was, people were talking about the Rams like they're going to go to the Super Bowl, and the Cardinals beat the brakes off them good old Rams. Maybe they're in for a little letdown. Maybe they won't be as high. Maybe they won't be as high going up against, it's just the Niners. They're 2-2. Who the hell is their quarterback? Their quarters are off the street. Like maybe they won't have the same intensity as they did against the LA Rams. Maybe we can get a lead on the Cardinals. It'll be telling. The first quarter will tell everything. The Cardinals don't match the same intensity as the Niners. Look out. That's all I'm saying. And I think the Niners can win this 34-31.
Wow. Okay. I will tell you, the Cardinals in the second half have been good throughout the season. That's when they kind of made their, like against, the Minnesota put up a lot of points in the first half, and then we kind of slowed them down, pretty much shut them down the second half. So the second half, even if it starts out slow, like the second half, the Cardinals have done really well in that. I see my buddy Tommy Huxley's here wanting to know what, I look like Santa. Tommy, Santa's bringing you an L for Christmas, buddy. It's coming early. Tommy and I like to go back and forth, so it's fun. So it's
you and Tommy are funny. What's good, Tommy?
Niner sickness. Love the look on my face when you picked that. Yeah. Sorry, I wore that on my sleeve a little bit there, right? Yeah.
You were like, "Is this guy crazy? What is he talking about?"
Well, but listen, man. Any given Sunday, right? Anything can happen, right?
I mean, no one thought the Cardinals would beat the Rams. Yeah. I didn't hear anyone say the Cardinals would beat the Rams. Everyone said, "Oh, the Rams are going to win that." Mm-hmm. It's not, because they were coming off an emotional win against the Super Bowl champion in the Buccaneers, and they didn't really come to play. They didn't have that same intensity, and the Cardinals put it on them. So hey, it could happen. it can definitely happen. That's for sure.
Redder's asked this question a couple times, so I'd like to answer it for him about what my thoughts are on Chase Edmonds.
Yeah.
Chase Edmonds is, I think he and Connor are just this ideal complement. Like Edmonds is, not as big of a back. He's a really good receiving back. He's not the power back. So I love that compliment. He's a little shiftier. He's a little faster. So on those short yardage situations, you get Connor in there, and then you saw Edmonds had 120 yards in the second, or in the game against the Rams, a lot of it in the second half, when the Rams were kind of on their heels and such. So yeah, I just think it's a really great pairing, and I'm a big believer in what you do is you build a good offensive line and you get a stable of running backs and you kind of rotate them in. I'm not a believer in having the one bell cow back, because that guy gets injured, you're kind of SOL, or you shouldn't pay running backs that much money because their careers are shorter. So I love what the Cardinals have done. They didn't overpay for the running backs. They just got the right pieces and fits. So yeah, I really like Chase Edmonds in this offense too.
Yeah, and that is a concern for the 49ers defense, because we haven't been as good stopping the run. We haven't been terrible, but I think we were like around the middle of the league. I think we were like 16th, I believe. So, that could be some opportunities for the Cardinals. But hopefully we're able to make the Cardinals offense one dimension and, limit their effectiveness on the ground. That'll definitely be a key for the 49ers defense. And can we get a turnover? I mean, we haven't had a turnover since week 1.
Yeah.
It's been way too long. We need an interception. I don't care if the ball carrier has the ball, punch it out, do whatever you got to do, but get a turnover, flip the field, allow the offense to have a short field to go down and score. Like, that's definitely something that the defense, has to improve on. And we have a Seattle Seahawks fan in the building. Aiden, what's good? Probably not too much right now for the Seattle Seahawks fans. You guys lose at home, and Russell Wilson, left the game due to, it looked like a finger injury. So
yeah, hope that's
tough loss. Yeah. Tough loss.
Hope he's better soon. Yeah,
absolutely. And me and Aiden, we had a collab for the 49ers and Seahawks game. And obviously, I wish the best for the Seahawks. Hopefully Russell Wilson comes back, sooner than later. Luke Luna says, don't care who we start at the quarterback position. I just want to win. That being said, I don't want Lance falling victim to his legs out of survival and habit instead of dropping and reading. I like his arm better than his legs. Yeah. I think that's part of the reason why, a lot of Niner fans want Trey, but it's not just about, he's got a big arm. He's fast. Like, he's got to be able to read defenses. He's got to be able to, make his reads, throw to the correct receiver, and not just make the read, throw accurately. And that's something he's kind of struggled with. But he's a rookie. That's what we're expecting.
Yeah.
That's why,
I was going to say, I got to tell you, Luke, as much as you don't want to see that happen, that's kind of inevitable because, and I could, as a fan of Kyler Murray, that's the evolution he went through, right? Now, Kyler Murray I think was a more experienced passer coming into the league. He had more time, in college, more experience in college starting. But like he first couple of years, Kyler was relying on his legs a lot more, and he's rushing much less this year, and that's part of his evolution. So a young quarterback who has legs is going to come in and he's going to use his legs when he doesn't have something, when he doesn't make those reads. And what you have to do is you have to give him a chance to get through that stage. He has to go through that stage, get those reps, and then take that step to where he doesn't have to rely on that all the time. So unfortunately, I don't think there's a way around it. You just got to embrace it and know that if you do things right and he is the quarterback that you want him to be, he'll eventually take those steps and progress past that.
Yeah, no, but it's you make a great point. Like a lot of quarterbacks, mobile quarterbacks, that's kind of what they know. There's no one open. Okay, run. Or if it's your first read is covered, they don't have the pocket awareness. They don't have the experience to just wait, let other routes get open, and that takes time. It takes experience, and hopefully he'll get. I hope that Trey gets his first start this Sunday. And we may not win the game, but I think this will be better for Trey than to trot out an injury player in Jimmy G. I just think that would be the better option, starting Trey Lance. Luke Luna also says, yeah, Russell dislocated his finger. That was rough looking, but Geno played well, and he played well in the preseason too. Geno, he ain't no Russell Wilson, that's for sure.
No, I mean, he's a good backup with starting experience,
Yeah.
so he's probably one of the better backups in the league. You don't want him to have to start for too long, but you can ride his arm for a couple of weeks if you're the Seattle.
Exactly. Devin Goodman, what's good? Appreciate you coming through to the stream, man. He says Niners all day. Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in to the stream. Everyone in here, I appreciate you. Leave a thumbs up for the video. Let YouTube and I know that you're enjoying the stream. I would appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe to J the Bay. And, of course, subscribe to the Cardinal Rule. All his links are in the description. And I got one more for you. This is a question that I will start to ask my guests more often. I think it's kind of cool to see your perspective on, some of the greatest players in your franchise. So on your Mount Rushmore of greatest Arizona Cardinals players, this could be players that you've seen or just the all-time greats based on stats. Who is your Mount Rushmore of all-time Arizona Cardinals players?
So I'm going to only include players who are there's a couple criteria. They have to be Arizona Cardinals. I'm not going to go prior to Arizona because that's where I've followed. And they need to be either retired or, in the case of one of them, ostensibly retired.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with, obviously, Larry Fitzgerald is on there. He has to be on there. Aeneas Williams, great cornerback for the Cardinals, Hall of Famer. One of my personal favorites, safety Adrian Wilson. I love that guy. They drafted him in the third round. It was just a great player for them. He's part of the front office now. And then Kurt Warner, because he got them to a Super Bowl, even though we didn't win. Now, I know there has to be a separate kind of landmark for Pat Tillman. He's got his own thing. But I went with players that I enjoyed watching and that were meaningful to me as a fan.
No, that's a great list. I used to play Madden a lot. And there was this offensive lineman for the Cardinals. His name is escaping me, but I believe he played the tackle position, and he played for the Cardinals. I think he was one of the best, offensive linemen that you got. I mean, does that ring any bells?
Louis Sharp from a long time ago was a really great tackle for us.
Oh wait, was it? I want to say, for some reason, I want to say Anthony Munoz, but I think he played for Cincinnati.
Yeah, he was with he's a Hall of Famer from Cincinnati. Okay. Yeah,
that's who I'm thinking of, and it wasn't a Cardinals. But yeah, that's a hell of a Mount Rushmore, and all those names definitely what I was expecting. I forgot about Adrian Wilson though. I remember him. He was a hell of a safety.
Yeah,
and, absolutely. Absolutely. So, but yeah, man, obviously you got your Cardinals winning. You said 34-17. Ouch.
I know people are going to say I'm being cocky. I'm not trying to be. That's what I think. And watch, the football gods are going to strike that down for daring to pick that. But
yeah. Hey, you riding with your team. And that's something I can always appreciate. And let people know who haven't subscribed to you yet, what they can expect from you in your channel, and let the people know why they should subscribe to you. The floor is yours.
All right. Well, thanks, Jay. Yeah. So I am, as we talked about earlier, if you weren't here in the stream, I've been a Cardinals fan pretty much since they moved to Arizona. I love my team. I approach it with kind of a nerdy kind of vigor. I dig in. I watch the draft like pretty much from start to finish, and I do my homework on my team. And if you're a Cardinals fan, I what you're going to get from me is in-depth analysis. I use statistics. I use film. I put a lot of work to try to make content that's worth your time. So if you're a Cardinals fan, or even if you're just an NFL fan who wants to kind of learn about the Cardinals, I think what you're going to get from me is, I describe it as like a poor man's Brett Coleman meets PFF, right? A little bit of film study, a little bit of analytics, And I try to bring it together and make it interesting. So, check out my channel, The Cardinal Rule, as Jay's very kindly said. The links are below, and then my social media is there. I use Twitter more than anything else in terms of social media. But yeah, appreciate anyone who wants to check out my channel, and I think you'll enjoy it.
And Tommy has to leave one here for you.
Yeah, we're both old.
I appreciate that super chat though, Tommy. And it's been a pleasure having you on, Joseph, the Cardinal Rule YouTube channel. I really enjoy your videos. It's definitely something I feel like you can everyone's unique. Everyone has their own style, but there's definitely like, hey, that's cool that he does it like that. Like that's pretty cool. And I say myself, I say that to myself often when I watch your videos, your format and things like that. So keep doing what you're doing. You represent the AZ Cardinals really well. And it's a pleasure to have you on, and I can't wait till we collab again in the future.
Yeah, love to do it, man. You bring I love your positive energy, man. You're a good dude. So.
Appreciate it. Well, you have a good rest of your night. The weekend is almost here. Good luck in the game. Hopefully your Cardinals stay healthy, and I'm looking forward to the game, man. I can't wait. You have a good rest of your night, man.
All right, you too, man. Thanks.
All right, peace out, man. So that was Joseph at the Cardinal Rule. He represents the AZ Cardinals well. Very knowledgeable. I enjoy watching his videos. And make sure you guys check out him and his social media, as I mentioned before. It's in the links in the description of the video. Make sure you like the video as well. Make sure you subscribe. And it was a pleasure having Joseph on. I'm definitely looking forward to the matchup this weekend. And he said that the Cardinals are going to win 34-17. So we'll see. I think we can score more points than that, but we shall see on Sunday. I can't wait for the game. Dowell, thanks for tuning in to the stream. What's good? He says, let's go Cardinals. All right. And he says he represents the Bay Area. All right. I think you're the first Cardinals fan I know that resides in the Bay Area, but I appreciate you joining the stream. Absolutely. And make sure you check out the Cardinal Rule YouTube channel. Let's see who else we have. KD says, I picked the Arizona Cardinals to beat the Niners. What? Come on, KD. You represent the faithful, the Niner Empire. He says, but he hopes he's wrong. So, yeah, the Cardinals, there's no doubt. The Cardinals are a pretty good team. Their offense is clicking on all cylinders. Our defense is definitely going to have our hands full going up against the Cardinals offense. That's for sure, KD. Redder says he thinks the Cardinals and Rams should be very close in winning the division, but I think the Cardinals, Rams, Seahawks, and Niners. Hey, man, it's still early, and we haven't played our best football yet from a 49er fan perspective, but, it's still early. It's very, very early. SMGK94, the Glitcher. What's good? They say hi. I say welcome to the stream. Thanks for tuning in. Niner Sickness says, I'm the Latin Santa cruising in my lowrider, giving out L's. Let's go 49ers, beat the Birds. I like that. I like the sound of that, Niner Sickness. Let's see. Let's see. Who else? Redder says, everyone put a thumbs up on the stream. I would appreciate that. Niner Sickness says, Joseph, your team is playing good football. Good luck the rest of the season. And Blue True, what's good? Got to say, hot diggity dog, Blue True. I appreciate that $3 super chat. They say, great show, Jay. I would appreciate that. Let's see. Redder had a question for Cardinal Rule. He said, what's your favorite Cardinals player ever? Mine is Larry Fitzgerald. And the Cardinal Rule agrees with you, Larry Fitzgerald as well. I did want to talk about a little bit some 49ers latest news. So Trent Williams has returned to practice today. Trent Williams expects to play on Sunday. We're definitely going to need him, lining up against Chandler Jones. That's for sure. Glad to have Trent Williams back. Also, George Norman is active at practice. He had on the blue non-contact jersey yesterday, but it's good to see that Josh Norman is expected to start opposite of Emmanuel Mosley. And I think that should be a solid matchup against the Cardinals offense. I know they have some speedsters, but we need all the healthy cornerbacks we can get going up against Arizona's offense. Now, not active at practice today was Jimmy G. Obviously, he's battling the calf. Samson Buku, I think he's battling the hamstring injury. Kwan Williams also a calf, and then George Kittle has a calf strain. Man, we got a lot of calf injuries. What's going on? But hopefully George Kittle will be most. It seems like most likely it's going to be a game time decision. He probably won't practice this week, but we're going to need George Kittle if we want to be able to put up a lot of points, against this Cardinals defense. Now Trey Lance, he is taking first team reps. He took them Wednesday and Thursday. And if Jimmy can't practice, I think we should just ride with Trey Lance. I think that would be the best for the team. Obviously, I'm one of the biggest Jimmy G supporters out here. Y'all know it, faithful, but we've seen an injured Jimmy. Usually, that's not a productive Jimmy. So I think we should ride with Trey if Jimmy cannot practice. Let's go with these comments. Let's see. Tommy Huxley does not agree with Dow about his name. Interesting. Tommy also says that Haskins is a bust. Hey, he's got a great opportunity in Pittsburgh. You just got to make the most of it. Redder says he thinks we should give Haskins another chance. Hey, you got to look. You got to look for a quarterback past Big Ben. I think this is his last year. That's for sure. The 49ers did sign some players to their practice squad. The 49ers signed linebacker Tyrell Adams, wide receiver Connor Weddington, and then we brought back tight end Jordan Matthews. Man, I wonder if he even be on the active roster this year. We seem to cut and bring back tight end Jordan Matthews. We'll see. I think he could be a solid tight end as far as receiving the ball, but, we'll see. There are a few guys ahead of him on the depth chart. 49ers made room. They released linebacker Curtis Bolton, running back Kerryon Johnson, and running back Chris Thompson from the practice squad. And yeah, those are basically the most recent moves from the 49ers. I appreciate everyone coming through on a Thursday night to talk about the faithful, the Niner Empire. And of course, the Arizona Cardinals. I'm looking forward to the game on Sunday. I think it will be a high-scoring game. I think there will be opportunities for, the Niners to have success on offense. Our defense will have to play lights out against this Cardinals offense because they are playing at a upper echelon level right now in the NFL. They are tops in total yards, passing yards, rushing yards, points scored. So we're going to have our hands full. Shout out to Blue True. Shout out to Tommy Huxley, 49ers first takes, Jag, Blue True again, KD. I appreciate everyone who gave me a super chat. Really do appreciate that. That goes a long way. I appreciate you guys supporting the J The Bay YouTube channel. Also, shout out to everyone who was in the chat. I appreciate everyone conversing with me and the Cardinal Rule. Without you guys' contributions, I think the show would be lacking. Like I said before at the beginning, this show is nothing without the faithful, without the Niner Empire, the people who are in the chat, who are liking the stream. I appreciate all that you guys do. Shout out to everyone watching on J The Facebook, J The YouTube channel. Coming up for the channel, obviously I will have my preview for the game. That video probably will be coming out most likely Saturday night. And then I will have a pregame live stream and a postgame live stream of the game. And I appreciate you guys rocking with me. And if you haven't, make sure you check me out on social media, IG, Twitter. And if you haven't subscribed to J The Bay on YouTube, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would appreciate it. And shout out to the Cardinal Rule. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being on the show with me tonight. You represent the Arizona Cardinals well. And all his links, all his social media links are in the description. But hopefully everyone has a great rest of your night. The weekend is upon us. And let's see if there's any more comments. Let's see. So I think that's it for the comments. But Shout out to everyone supporting J in the Bay, watching the channel. And it looks like we have one comment from G Rod. What's good? He says the Rams own the Hawks. Yeah, I mean they did a number on the Hawks tonight, and Russell Wilson unfortunately got hurt. But hey, the Rams are looking good, but they only have one loss this year, I believe, and that was to the Cardinals. So it's going to be a tough division. Just getting ready to get off though, G Rod. Hopefully you have a good rest of your night. And thanks for watching your boy J in the Bay. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I have a video coming out, most likely Saturday night. And then hopefully you guys can come through the pregame and postgame live stream of the game this Sunday. I'll see you guys in the next one.